Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela, I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and welcome back to this week's book review. Now this one is for Crochet from Start to Finish, Techniques, Tips and Advice to Getting It Right First Time, and it's by Catherine Hirst. So come on, let's see what patterns she has inside for us today. Okay, so this book was first published in, let me have a look, 2014 by Search Press Limited, which is a company here in the UK. It's priced at $14.99. So as you can see by the size of my hand, it's not a bad little size book. Be ideal to pop in a project bag. Apologies now for the camera shadow in here. I'm sorry, I'm recording this in the evening, anything after 4 o'clock, and this is what we're stuck with, so fingers crossed the lighting will work for us today. Okay, let's turn the page and get straight into this book. It starts off with our content sheet, and it starts with an introduction, essential crochet terms, pattern abbreviations, international terms and yarn weights. Then we have the section 1 of materials, section 2 is techniques from start to finish. Then it moves into a chapter format. So we've got chapter 4, beginning to crochet, chapter 5, basic stitches. Chapter 6 is attention swatches. Chapter 7 is reading patterns. Chapter 8 is basic stitch patterns. Chapter 9 is basic shapes. Chapter 10 is border and edges, and Chapter 11 is adding, trims and embellishments. Chapter 12 is finishing, and then we have our resources section at the end. I best put my teeth in, hadn't I? Right, so here is our introduction. This is where they're telling you more about the book and the author and different bits and pieces like that. Now, it should be noted, they even say it here, which is really lovely. It should be noted that all text is written in UK stitch terms. New crocheters might be surprised to learn that there are different stitch terms used in North America and other parts of the world. And then it tells you what page for more information on the different charts, so that you've got your conversion chart, I'm assuming, a little bit further along in the book. So that's really nice. That saved me having to hunt and guess. So this is a UK terms. Right, then we come into essential crochet terms to get you started. So here they're explaining, it's all in alphabetical order, which is lovely, and it covers quite a bit. Okay, it even breaks down your hook by the parts, meaning they're saying bowl 1 is the area under the lip of a crochet hook. Then you have the head, which is the tip of the hook used to insert into the stitch. The lip is the hook part of the crochet hook. A pad on the same crochet hooks is a depression to rest the thumb. The shank is a long part of the hook between the lip and the pad, and the throat is a part of the hook just below the lip that is usually smaller in circumference than the shank. Now those are different terms to what I know as well. So it's looking like UK terminology, even as far as splitting down what the name different sections of the hooks are, is different to what the Americans call it. That's interesting, actually. I didn't know that. Right, so as just said, it's all in alphabetical order, so they're talking through all the different terms there. As you can see, there's skein, there's slub, the bump of fibre found in an uneven yarn spun. That's a new word for me. I'll put that on screen. Is that a new word for you as well? Alright, next we're moving on to the pattern abbreviations. Now please remember that this is in English terminology, okay, so there is going to be some differences there. And also, this is a library book that's very old, so I'm not even going to guess what that spot is, but just know it doesn't come off. Right, then we have a section that's labelled international terms. So here they've split it up for UK, Europe, North America, UK, Europe, Australia, North America. So that's crochet terms, stitch conversions that they've changed, measurement conversions, they've gone from metric to imperial, and weight conversions is metric and imperial as well. And then we've got a lovely chart here that is showing the weight of yarns. So that's with the ball band, as some of us recognise it. Then we've got the UK, Europe, 1 ply, 2 ply, 3 ply. The sock for 4 ply, a light DK 5 ply, and then a DK 8 ply. Okay, North America, they've come in with the thread, cobweb lace, or light fingering, fingering baby, sport, and DK. I'm just going to read the top 4. Australia is a 1, a 2, or a 3 ply. The next one down's a 4, and then we've got a 5, and then we've got the 8 ply. Okay, so of course it does go down to a 6, which is the super bulky, super chunky, or the super bulky roving polar, whatever that is, or a 14 ply. Now we all know there's other weighted yarns there, but these are the ones that they think that we have access to here in the UK. Section 1, materials. So there's a chapter on hooks, and here is it broken down a little bit better for us if we don't know about it, of course. And then they're explaining the differences between the metal, the bamboo, and the steel hooks. Okay, we have our conversion chart for our hooks. Then we move on to chapter 2, which is the yarns. So here they're talking about plied yarn, single ply yarn, boucle yarn, ooh, posh yarn, or annoying, depending on how you say it. And they've also got tips here as well. As you run through the book, they then move on to animal fibres, plant fibres, synthetic, and blends. So as you can see, this first section carries on going with our yarn weights, explaining that a bit more as well. Yarn colours, and then they've got the colour wheels as well, which is quite nice to have in your collection if you need those. I'm not very good at always putting the right shade of colour together. Then we have a section on yarn weights, fibre types. Let's scoot through a little bit. Pulling yarn, balls and skeins, so explaining the differences there. They even show you how to wind a ball by hand, so you've got a centre pull ball. That's quite nice. That's one of the methods I sometimes use. They talk about our yarn ball bands. Changing yarns, or challenging yarns. Other materials for crocheting. Then we move on to notions, trims and extras. Measuring and cutting tools and other useful tools. The stitch markers, accessories and embellishments. Buttons, fringes, tassels. Oh. Then we have a gallery section. Now they say, yep, and it's looking like these patterns are also included in the book, which is a bit of a bonus. That's pretty. Then let's scoot on a bit more. Techniques from start to finish. Okay, section 2, techniques from start to finish. Turn it over, chapter 4. What? Oh yeah, because it was doing it in chapters, wasn't it? Okay, so chapter 4, we've got how to hold your hook, how to hold the yarn. Oh, how to do slip knot, leaving a tail, foundation chain, how to count the chains, how to control your tension, and even a troubleshoot section there. Then they move on to chapter 5, which is the basic stitches. Okay, this is where I'm going to get very confused. Right, okay, so they're starting off with showing you how to do a single crochet US terms, double crochet UK terms. I managed that one. And okay, so there is the double crochet US single. I will have to skip backwards and forwards if I tell you which these are. I know them straight off if I see them. Okay, so that's a half treble, or as the US say, half double. Then we have the UK treble, US double, the double treble. Oh, do I have to? You see where he's going here. So then they move on to taller stitches, slip stitches, turning chains, loop stitches, spike stitches, around the post stitches, we'd call them front and back post. Okay, chapter 6 is tension and swatches. Okay, so here they're showing us how to measure. So you do your sample, but you go bigger than what you actually need. That way you can get a truer representation of your 4x4 square. Okay, when you measure it in the centre, rather than just making it a 4x4 and hoping for the best. Because I used to do it wrong. I used to do it the second way, not this way. I now do it this way, so I know what I'm doing. Okay, they're saying how you can make your own tension swatch by using a piece of card and then cutting out the square in the middle, which is quite a nice, easy way to do. And you can now, if you're too lazy to cut up a bit of card, you can actually purchase a plastic version on the internet. Don't ask where, I haven't bought one myself, but I've seen them. Then we've got measuring stitch tension, measuring row tension, a tips and troubleshooting there. Then we move on to reading patterns. Okay, they talk about the different pattern terms that they're going to be using throughout the book, executing pattern instructions, avoiding pattern pitfalls, which is another troubleshoot section. And then we're talking about repeats. So if we were making a blanket and we wanted to upsize it, it's nice to know how many stitch repeats you need, and then you can increase that as you need to. Then we've got sizing and measurements, adjusting sizes. That's always good to know as well, because sometimes if us larger, more rounded girls fall in love with a pattern that's made for very petite ladies, we need to be able to adjust the size, and the other way around as well. Then chapter 8 is basic stitch patterns. So here we're shown examples and told how to, of course, do the singles, the half doubles and the half trebles, and English and American terms. I'm getting so confused. Okay, so that's how they're doing that one. And then they come into the shell stitch, a mesh stitch, front and back loop rows, and a popcorn stitch, cables, and then we have another gallery section. I don't like that, that looks dangerous to me, but then I'm used to using old light bulbs. The new ones don't heat up as much, do they? Thankfully. Okay, so we've got lots of items there. Got some beading, there is a crazy blanket there. Then we're moving on to chapter 9, which is a basic shapes. So they're talking here about decreasing and increasing. This is more amigurumi shaping. Okay, then this one is for flat shapes. So of course we've got our basic granny square there, and a working in the round, which is the top of most of our hats. Then we have got different shapes again. So we've got hexagons, flowers, granny triangles, semicircle, close square, oval and a flowery square, a small heart, a three-dimensional shape, better known as a ball. Then we have an hourglass shape and a tube. Chapter 10 is borders and edges. So here they are showing some different style edges. Couple more. And then we're moving on to corners. So they're explaining how you do your corners, how to add your buttonholes, how to add pockets, how to make an internal pocket. I'm going to come back and read that one. I haven't done many internal pockets yet. Chapter 11 is adding trims and embellishments. So it's how to add beads, how to add the sequins, to make and add pom-poms, adding in buttons. And they've already told you earlier on in the book how to do a buttonhole. So adding in cords, adding a fringe, how to place in zips, tassels, and then we come into the chapter 12, which is finishing. Right, fastening off and weaving in ends. And blocking. Oh, they're showing the iron technique there. And joining methods. So they've got a slip stitch join and the double crochet join. Mattress stitch and a whip stitch and a back stitch. Then we go on to a care and maintenance. Now this covers your yarn, your embellishment, your finishing techniques, and even moth control. Section 3, resources. So this is all the online resources, patterns and supplies. And considering they're printed in it's a UK book, they're still covering Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Knitting Warehouse, Hobbycraft, and a good few others. Even Bendigo Woolen Mills. Sorry, I have to grin. That's in Australia. I know that one. Yeah, so there's quite a few there. I wonder, I might have to have a nose and see out of that list how many are still trading, because I know there's possibly a couple that might not be now. Okay, further reading. They're then suggesting other books and other magazines for us to have a look at. Might be worth a look and see if I've managed to get any of them already. Then we have our index section. Quite a bit in the index. And then that's pretty much it, apart from the acknowledgements at the end. Okay, so as I stated before, this is a $12.99. If I can find this book on the internet, I will of course pop the links in the description box down below. Now I would love to know, is this a book that you would possibly borrow from your local library, or even buy if it's cheap enough? For me, I think I'm going to have a read and probably borrow it a couple of times. If there's extra stuff in here that I find interesting, like the hidden pockets, I really need to know about that. Right, but anyway, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will see you all really, really soon. So please remember, stay chilled, stay happy, and keep crafting. Goodbye, everybody.